You talked about a paper-based system and how it was very complex. But given that the number of prisoners released by accident doubled, would you accept that your government's early release schemes made the system even more complex and more unmanageable, and that is partially responsible for the number of prisoners released in error?
Well, there were 800 releases in error under the last government.
In which year was that?
There was very serious. The figure was spiking from 2021. As I have said to you...
262 is an all-time high.
As I have said to you, that there were 4 different release schemes in the last stage of the last government, which added to complexity. And just to remind you that under the last government, Rayon Nubi released in error, Luis Butasavis released in error, William Fernandez released in error, and William Fernandez, who was released in error in March 2021, went on to commit horrific sexual crimes.
Lord Chancellor, you referred to the last government being responsible for 800 prisoner releases. I assume you're talking of the cumulative over 14 years. In the year you referred to, 2021, 54 prisoners were released in error, and I'm taking these numbers from your webpage. In 2023-24, it was 115, and that figure doubled to 262 in 24-25. That's a massive increase. It's 5 times more than 21 and 22. And I'm putting to you that actually it's the very complicated release scheme that your government put in place that is responsible for that spike.
Well, within the figures that you just suggested, there was a spike from just over 50 to 121 under the last government.
You said last month that you'd introduced the strongest release checks that have ever been in place for prisoners. Why have there been subsequent mistaken releases since then? And where does responsibility lie for those mistaken releases?
Well, I've said that you can never, ever, as a sexual state, rule out human error. And so I have also said very clearly that there is a mountain to climb.
When Kabatu was released in error, the Ministry of Justice published his photograph, his name, and his offence, which was just as well because it was actually a member of the public who located him and phoned the police. Can I ask, why don't you do this for all releases in error?
That must be an operational decision for the police. It is for the police to make assessments of risk, not for ministers to make that assessment. That is for the broader criminal justice system.
You say it's an operational decision for the police, but in the case of Kabatu, I understand your department didn't even tell the police for 7 days that he was on the run. And I put it to you, Minister, that actually it's just too embarrassing for your department because so many prisoners are released.